Do you have a 3DS? Do you want your footage that looks like this on your phone to instead look like this when filming from the same location? Literally not moving an inch, this is just how it looks. Then you should film stuff on your 3DS if you still have one. I had a sort of brain blast last month where I was thinking, like, I miss those sort of kid camera setups. Obviously, I really like using cameras and stuff like that. So obviously I really like using cameras and stuff. So when I was a kid and we got cameras to play around with, I thought it was really cool that I had like a camera that was on my own. I wanted to capture the feeling of being a kid and getting your first like camera that you could play around with and what you would want to capture when you were a child. And then I remembered I did not have a old childhood camera, but I did have my 3DS, which has photo and video software on it. And I remember it had an SD card in it. And if it had an SD card in it, and if I was right, which I was, and it saves that stuff to the SD card, then I could use it on my computer, possibly, and put it into a video. What I didn't realize is that when you transfer 3DS footage to your computer, it comes out in a format that does this when you put it into editing software. So you had to convert it. And I saw a bunch of tutorials online for file conversions and stuff like that that required me to download like an app. But I had this app pre-downloaded on my computer, and I was able to just put the files in there, transfer them to a regular file that like my editing software would use. So like an MP4 or H.264 file, and then put that in the video editing software, and it was totally fine. The worst parts about having to film with the 3DS is, one, it for some reason zooms in really far, like just naturally. It doesn't have a zoom function. I showed the footage before of like this footage that I took in one spot and then the same footage I took with the 3DS. And I didn't move between these shots, but it's really zoomed in for some reason. I don't understand why it does this. The second thing that I didn't like is for some reason the 3DS naturally, when you click the record button, it has this like really loud sound that it makes. And I thought I clicked the thing off to get rid of that sound. Apparently didn't. I couldn't get rid of it. And so the whole time I was like recording with it, which was a lot, I was clicking and it made this shrill sound. And then the third thing I didn't like is it has a auto ISO thing, which is like, if it's bright outside, you decrease the ISO so that way it's like not as bright in the photo and the video and everything looks more balanced. And it kind of had that, but it like made the DS buffer when you were doing that. So it took a little while for me to adjust things. And even when you adjust things, it was just lowering the general ISO, and it still had that auto like light thing where if I was pointing at the sun or like pointing at something bright, it would still like really dim everything else to compensate. I couldn't have as much manual control as I would have wanted to. Also, this is something I could have probably fixed, but I didn't feel like fixing it. I didn't think it was that much of an issue. My 3DS came with a 4GB SD card, which I thought wouldn't be an issue because I thought this isn't a lot of footage that I'm getting, so it should be fine. Turns out only could get like 3 to 4 minutes worth of footage in a go before having to bring the 3DS back. And I usually like to do 10-second like B-roll things. So I wasn't able to get a lot of footage in one go, and I kind of had to like delete footage on the fly that I didn't think looked good at all. And that wasn't easy because the screen, especially when you're outside and it's bright, is hard to see what the footage looks like. So I kind of just had to like trust my gut and go with that, and also keep going back between my computer and everything and switching things out. This is totally something I could have fixed, by the way. I have other SD cards. It's just the fact that I would have to format them to work with the 3DS. And I was watching different tutorials and I just like, I gave up. I didn't care. I'm like, well, I have an SD card that works with it, so it's fine. But yeah, all in all, like, it wasn't too bad once you get used to it. Like once you know to just stand super far back from something, if you have enough room, don't film in the dark because I don't think it's good in the dark, and it also struggles to film in the really bright. And then also the microphone is way better than I thought it would be. I thought the microphone would be absolute garbage, but the microphone is actually pretty good. You're gonna have to do some tweaking, and it's definitely not like this quality where I have a mic on me, but I thought it would be hot garbage, and it's not hot garbage. It's actually okay. But yeah, anyway, it was a fun little experiment. I like using different technologies and trying that stuff out, especially if it's like older sort of tech. This isn't like super old tech, but I think it's been like a decade. So it was fun to play around with, and yeah, it went better than I thought it would. I like how the video turned out, and that's kind of it. Momo, you got anything to say, buddy? Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.